I never planned to fall for a man like him. Autistic. Dangerous. Untouchable. And yet, the first time our eyes met, something inside me broke, and I couldn't look away. He didn't ask for my love. He didn't ask for my loyalty. He just claimed me. And by the time I realized I was his, I was already in too deep. I slept with the Mafia boss no one was supposed to touch. And the next morning, he handed me a choice I couldn't refuse. Become his weapon or disappear from his life forever. I chose to stay. And that was the night everything changed. If you're already hooked and you want to see how this ends, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button right now. Because this story goes places you won't believe, and I promise you won't want to miss a single second. Seoul in autumn is cold in a way that gets under your skin. I've been living there for 8 months, working remotely for a tech company back in the States, keeping my head down, staying invisible. That's what I wanted. Invisibility. After everything that happened in Atlanta, after Marcus, after I'd finally scraped together enough self-respect to leave, I needed a place where nobody knew me. Where I could be nobody. I was sitting in a coffee shop in Itaewon, the kind that catered to foreigners, so I didn't have to feel quite so out of place. My laptop was open but I wasn't working. I was just staring at the screen, pretending the way I did most days. That's when he sat down across from me. I didn't invite him. Didn't even look up at first. But then he spoke. You come here every Tuesday and Thursday. You order the same thing. Americano, no sugar. You sit in this corner because the light is good but not direct. You don't like being looked at. I finally raised my eyes. He was Korean, mid-30s maybe, with sharp features and dark eyes that didn't blink as much as normal people's. He wore a plain black sweater and dark jeans. Nothing flashy, but there was something about the way he held himself. Still. Deliberate. Like every movement cost him something. Are you following me? I asked. My voice came out harder than I meant it to. No. I'm observing. There's a difference. Not from where I'm sitting. From where you're sitting. I'm a stranger who noticed patterns. From where I'm sitting, you're interesting. Most men who approached me had an angle. A performance. Charm that felt rehearsed. This man had none of that. His voice was flat. Honest. Almost clinical. I'm Elsa, I said, because something about his directness made lying feel pointless. Mu Hyunjae. He paused. I'm autistic. People usually find that helpful to know up front. It explains why I don't do the things they expect. I blinked. In 8 months in Seoul, no one had been this direct with me about anything. Okay, I said. Okay meaning you understand. Or okay meaning you want me to leave? Okay meaning I'm trying to figure out what you want. To talk to you. You looked lonely. I know what that looks like. Something in my chest cracked just a little. I'd spent so long trying not to be seen, and here was this stranger who'd seen me anyway. I'm not looking for company, I said, but I didn't close my laptop. Neither am I usually. But you're different. You don't know me. Not yet. He didn't smile when he said it. Didn't lean forward or try to make it sound flirtatious. He just stated it like a fact. Like he'd already decided and was waiting for me to catch up. I should have left. Should have packed up my things and walked out and never come back to that coffee shop. I didn't. Why do you think I'm different? I asked instead. Because you don't perform. Most people are performing all the time, even when they think they're alone. But you're not. You're just existing. I find that rare. Maybe I'm just tired. Maybe. But I don't think that's all it is. We talked for 2 hours that day. About nothing and everything. He told me he worked in import-export, which I'd later learn was technically true but misleading in every way that mattered. He told me he didn't understand social hierarchies. That he said what he meant and meant what he said and people found that threatening. He told me his family was complicated. I told him I'd left everything behind to start over. That I'd been in a relationship that taught me love was supposed to hurt. That I'd spent 3 years making myself smaller and smaller until I almost disappeared. That's not love, he said simply. Then what is it? Control. Disguised as care. The words hit me so hard I had to look away. You're very blunt, I said. Yes. Does that bother you? No. I meant it. It's actually kind of refreshing. Good. Because I don't know how to be any other way. When we finally left the coffee shop, the sun was setting. He asked if he could see me again. I said yes before I could talk myself out of it. That was the first mistake. Or maybe the first moment of honesty I'd had in years. I still can't tell which. The next few weeks unfolded slowly. We met regularly. Always in public places at first. Coffee shops. Parks. Once a bookstore where he spent 20 minutes explaining why he organized his books by color instead of genre, and didn't understand why people found that strange. It makes visual sense, he said, running his fingers along a shelf of blue spines. The Dewey Decimal System is arbitrary. Color is observable. But you can't find anything by subject. I don't need to. I remember where everything is. Photographic memory? Something like that. My brain holds on to details. It's useful sometimes. Overwhelming others. I watched him, the careful way he touched each book, the focus in his expression. There was something deeply attractive about how completely he inhabited himself. No apology. No shame. Do I overwhelm you? He asked suddenly, not looking at me. No. People say I'm too much. Or not enough. I can never tell which they mean. You're not either of those things. He finally looked at me. Really looked. You mean that? Yes. Thank you. It was such a simple exchange. But it mattered. I could see it mattered to him. If you're loving this slow burn, go ahead and drop a comment telling me if you saw what was coming next. As I sure didn't. Our conversations got deeper. More raw. He told me about his childhood. About being punished for things he didn't understand were wrong. About learning to mask his natural responses because people found them unsettling. About the exhaustion of pretending to be neurotypical in a world that demanded it. I told him about Marcus. About the first time he yelled at me and I convinced myself it was my fault. About how he isolated me from my friends so slowly I didn't notice until they were all gone. About the night I finally left, throwing clothes in a suitcase while he was at work, getting on a plane with nothing but savings and survival instinct. He trained you to accept unacceptable things, Hyun-jae said. We were walking along the Han River, the city lights reflecting on the water. That's what abusers do. They move the boundary incrementally. By the time you realize how far you've traveled, you don't remember where you started. You sound like you know something about that. I do. My family specializes in it. There was something in his tone. Something dark I couldn't quite name. Your family business, I said carefully. Import-export. What exactly do you import and export? He stopped walking. Turned to face me. Influence. Loyalty. Fear when necessary. My stomach dropped. Hyun-jae. I haven't lied to you, Elsa. But I haven't told you everything either. And you deserve to know before this goes further. Before what goes further? Before I ask if I can kiss you. Because once I do, once we cross that line, you'll be part of something you can't unknow. My heart was hammering. What are you saying? I'm saying my family is dangerous. I'm saying the business we run isn't legal. I'm saying if you choose me, you're choosing complications you shouldn't have to carry. I should have walked away. Run. Gotten on the first plane back to anywhere else. Instead I stepped closer. Are you asking me to choose? I'm asking you to know what you'd be choosing. And if I choose you anyway, then I'll spend every day trying to be worth that choice. Kissed him. Right there on the river walk with the cold wind cutting through us. And he kissed me back like it was the first honest thing that had ever happened to him. It wasn't explosive. It wasn't desperate. It was careful. Intentional. Like he was memorizing every second. When we pulled apart, he rested his forehead against mine. I need to tell you everything, he said quietly. Everything real. Okay. Not here. Come home with me. I did. His apartment was in Gangnam, sleek and minimalist in a way that felt deliberate. Everything had its place. No clutter. No chaos. The only personal touch was a wall of books, organized by color just like he'd said. We sat on his couch and he told me the truth. His family ran one of the oldest organized crime syndicates in Seoul. They'd been doing it for 4 generations. Drugs, protection, strategic violence. His grandmother was the current head. She'd installed him as the public leader 3 years ago, not because he was the strongest or the most ruthless, but because she thought his autism made him controllable. She thinks I can't read people, so I can't plot against her, he said, his voice empty of emotion. She thinks my rigidity makes me predictable. She's mostly right. But not entirely. No, not entirely. I understand strategy differently than she expects. I see patterns she misses. And I don't feel loyalty the way she thinks I should. What do you feel? Obligation. Clarity about cause and effect. And lately, something I don't have a word for yet. Something that started when I met you. Hyunjae. I'm not good at this. Feelings. At reading between lines. So I'm just going to say it directly. I think I'm falling in love with you. And I think that's going to be dangerous for both of us. The words hung in the air between us. True and terrifying. Your grandmother, I said slowly. She won't approve. She'll see you as a weakness. Something to exploit or eliminate. And you're telling me this because you deserve informed consent. Because I won't trap you the way you were trapped before. Because if you stay, it has to be with open eyes. I looked at him. Really looked. At the man who'd been nothing but honest with me from the first moment. Who saw me and didn't need me to be anything other than what I was. I'm staying, I said. Elsa. I'm staying. Not because I don't understand the risk. But because for the first time in years I feel like myself with someone. And I'm not running from that. He pulled me close then and we didn't talk anymore that night. We moved to his bedroom and what happened there was quiet and intense and more intimate than anything I'd ever experienced. He was methodical. Attentive. Asked questions instead of assuming. Told me exactly what he wanted and listened when I told him the same. Afterward, lying in his arms in the dark, I felt the weight of the choice I'd made settling over me. I won't let her hurt you, he said into my hair. That's not a promise you can make. I know. But I'll try anyway. I fell asleep feeling safer than I had in years, even though I knew I was in more danger than ever before. Hit that like button if you're feeling the tension building. Because what came next changed everything. The first time I met his grandmother was 3 weeks later. Hyunjae tried to delay it. Made excuses. But eventually she demanded it, and he explained that refusing would be worse. She'll want to assess you, he said the night before. Decide if you're a threat or a tool. What if I'm neither? That's not a category she recognizes. The family compound was in Pyeongchang-dong, hidden behind high walls and careful landscaping. Old money trying to look like new money trying to look respectable. We were shown into a sitting room that was all dark wood and strategic art. She was smaller than I expected. Mid-70s, with silver hair pulled back severely and eyes that missed nothing. She looked at me the way you'd look at a stain on expensive fabric. So, she said in perfect English, you're the distraction. Grandmother, Hyunjae started, but she held up one hand. I'm speaking to her, not you. I met her gaze directly. I'm not a distraction. I'm a person he cares about. Same thing in context. Tell me, what do you think you know about my family? I know you run a criminal organization. I know you use Hyunjae as a figurehead while you maintain real control. I know you think his autism makes him manageable. Her expression didn't change. He told you that. He told me the truth. He's good at that. Truth is a luxury we can't afford in this business. I'm surprised he hasn't learned that yet. Maybe that's why you need him. Someone who doesn't lie by default. She smiled then. It wasn't kind. You're smarter than I expected. More dangerous too. I'm not trying to be dangerous. That's what makes you a threat. You don't even realize the chaos you represent. She turned to Hyunjae. End this. No. The word was simple. Final. That wasn't a request. I know. And my answer is still no. The temperature in the room dropped. You're willing to risk everything for something this temporary? This frivolous. She's not temporary. And she's not frivolous. She's the first person who's seen me as human in longer than I can remember. I'm not giving that up because you find it inconvenient. His grandmother stood. Then you're making a choice you'll regret. Both of you. She left without another word. Hyunjae's hand found mine. His grip was tight. I'm sorry. For what? For putting you in her crosshairs. You didn't pull me. I walked there myself. We left the compound knowing things had shifted. War had been declared, even if the first shots hadn't been fired yet. They came 2 weeks later. I was walking home from the gym when a car jumped the curb. I dove out of the way at the last second, hitting the pavement hard enough to scrape my palms bloody. The car sped off. No plates. When I told Hyunjae, his face went completely still. That wasn't an accident. I know. This is what I was afraid of. She's sending messages. What kind of messages? The kind that escalate. Elsa, you need to leave Seoul. Tonight. I'll send you somewhere safe. No. This isn't negotiable. Yes, it is. I'm not running. Not from her. Not from this. She will kill you. Then teach me not to die. He stared at me. What? You heard me. Your family, your organization, somebody in it knows how to fight. How to survive. Teach me. Or find someone who will. That's not. You don't understand what you're asking. I understand perfectly. I'm asking you to give me a chance instead of making choices for me. I'm asking you to trust that I'm strong enough to handle this. I could see the war in his eyes. The need to protect me versus the respect for my agency. Finally, he nodded. Okay. But if we do this, we do it right. And you have to promise me something. What? Promise me that if it gets too dangerous, if I tell you it's time to leave, you'll actually go. I promise to consider it very seriously. Elsa. That's the best I can offer. Take it or leave it. A ghost of a smile crossed his face. You're stubborn. You're just now figuring that out? He kissed me then, hard and desperate. Don't make me regret this. I'll try not to. If this story has you on the edge of your seat, smash that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Because the next part is where everything gets real. The training started the next day. Hyunjae brought in a man named Kong. Mid-40s, built like a tank, with scars that told stories he never spoke aloud. He looked at me with pure skepticism. You want to learn to fight? He asked in Korean. Hyunjae translated. I want to learn to survive, I corrected. Same thing usually. He circled me slowly. You're tall. That's good. But you're untrained. How much time do we have? As much as we need, Hyunjae said. Kong laughed. It wasn't a nice sound. You don't have that luxury. But we'll do what we can. The first week was humiliating. He put me on the ground so many times I stopped counting. Taught me how to fall without breaking. How to move when someone bigger was coming at you. How to use momentum instead of strength. You'll never be stronger than most men, he said bluntly. So stop trying. Be faster. Be smarter. Be willing to hurt them in ways they're not expecting. Hyunjae watched every session. Didn't interfere. But I could see the tension in him, the way his hands clenched whenever Kong put me down hard. After training, we'd go back to his apartment. He'd help me ice my bruises. Run me a bath. Hold me when the adrenaline crash left me shaking. You don't have to do this, he'd say. Yes, I do. Why? Because I spent 3 years letting someone make me weak. I'm not doing that again. Not even for you. Especially not for you. He understood that. I could see it in his eyes. The training intensified. Kong taught me pressure points. Where to strike to disable. How to use everyday objects as weapons. Keys. A pen. A belt. He was merciless and thorough. Your enemy will not pull punches because you're a woman, he said. So neither will I. I learned. Fast. Desperation is an excellent teacher. Meanwhile, the pressure from Hyunjae's grandmother increased. Subtle at first. Rumors spread about me. That I was using Hyunjae. That I was unstable. That I was a liability. Then less subtle. Business partners started asking questions about his judgment. Lower-level members tested his authority. The organization was fracturing and I was the wedge. She's trying to isolate you, I said one night. We were in his office, surrounded by the careful architecture of his criminal empire. Make you choose between the organization and me. I know. What will you choose? I already chose. The night I told you the truth. Hyunjae, I won't let you destroy everything for me. You're not letting me do anything. I'm making my own choices. Choices that could get you killed. Choices that make my life worth living. I wanted to argue, but the look in his eyes stopped me. He meant every word. That night we made love with an intensity that felt like claiming. Like memorizing. Like we both knew time was running out but refused to acknowledge it. Afterward, lying in the dark, he spoke quietly. I need to tell you something about how I experience feelings. Okay. I don't feel guilt the way neurotypical people do. I understand cause and effect. I can recognize when I've hurt someone, but the emotional weight of it, the shame, it's not automatic for me. Why are you telling me this? Because if this escalates, if violence becomes necessary, I need you to know I won't hesitate. I won't lose sleep over it. And I need to know if that terrifies you. I thought about it. Really thought. No. Doesn't terrify me. It makes sense. You are who you are. Even if who I am includes the capacity for calculated violence. Even then. Because you're also the person who asks consent before you touch me. Who notices when I'm overwhelmed before I do. Who's never once tried to make me smaller. He pulled me closer. I don't deserve you. Good thing I'm not here because you deserve me. I'm here because I choose you. Leave a comment telling me if you saw the betrayal coming. As I sure didn't. The betrayal came from inside. One of Hyunjae's cousins, a man named Minjun who'd always resented the grandmother's choice of successor, made a play. He went to her with evidence, fabricated but convincing, that I was feeding information to a rival organization. The accusation was absurd. But in that world, truth mattered less than narrative. The grandmother called a meeting. Full family. All the senior members of the organization. I was not invited, but Hyunjae insisted I attend. If they're deciding my fate, I deserve to face them, I said. It could be dangerous. Everything about this has been dangerous. We walked into that room together. Every eye turned to us. The hatred was palpable. Minjun presented his case. Documents. Recordings. All fabricated but professionally so. He painted me as a foreign agent. A threat. A cancer that needed to be cut out. When he finished, the grandmother spoke. What do you say to these accusations? They're lies, I said simply. Can you prove that? Can he prove they're true? In our world, accusation is often enough. Hyunjae stepped forward. In our world, power is often enough. And I'm telling you, as the leader you installed, that I will not tolerate this. You would choose her over your family? Minjun demanded. I would choose truth over convenient fiction. And I would choose someone who's never lied to me over people who lie by breathing. The room erupted. Shouting. Accusations. Ancient grievances surfacing. The organization was splintering in real time. The grandmother watched it all with cold calculation. Then she held up one hand. Silence fell. There is a traditional way to resolve such disputes, she said. Trial by combat. Physical proof of worth. My blood went cold. No, Hyunjae said immediately. It's not your choice. It's hers. The grandmother looked at me. If you truly believe you belong in this world, prove it. Fight for your place. Defeat a champion of our choosing, and the accusations die. Lose and you leave. Permanently. And if I refuse? Then we assume guilt. It was a trap. Beautifully constructed. Refuse and I'm guilty. Accept and I'm likely dead. I looked at Hyunjae. Saw the terror in his eyes. Saw him calculating odds, looking for exits, trying to find a way to save me. I looked back at the grandmother. I accept. Hit that subscribe button right now if you want to see how this fight went down. Because what happened next defined everything. They gave me 3 days to prepare. The champion they chose was a man named Dae-young. 280 pounds of muscle and scar tissue. He'd been the organization's primary enforcer for 15 years. They said he'd killed 11 men in challenges like this. I was going to be number 12. Kong trained me around the clock. No sleep. Just drilling. Over and over. He focused on one thing, survival. You can't beat him on strength, he said. You can't even beat him on technique, not with 3 days. So we're going to teach you to be willing to do things he won't expect. To hurt him in ways that are considered dishonorable. There's honor in this. There's always honor in violence, until you're desperate. Then there's just winning and dying. He taught me to go for eyes, throat, groin, joints. Taught me how to use my nails as weapons. My teeth. How to make every part of my body dangerous. Hyunjae watched every moment. Didn't interfere. But I could see it destroying him. On the last night after Kong left, we sat together in silence. I could stop this, he said quietly. I could take you and run. Right now. We could disappear. And spend the rest of our lives looking over our shoulders? Better than this. No. Not better. Just slower. This ends tomorrow one way or another. Elsa, if you die. I won't. You can't know that. No. But I can decide it anyway. He pulled me into his arms. We didn't make love that night. We just held each other. Memorizing touch. Breathing. Heartbeat. All the small things that might be lost tomorrow. Whatever happens, I whispered. This was worth it. You were worth it. Don't talk like you're saying goodbye. I'm not. I'm saying I love you. In case I forget to say it tomorrow. I love you too. More than I thought I could love anything. We fell asleep like that. Tangled together. Trying to stop time. The fight was held in a warehouse in Bucheon. Neutral territory. Every important member of the organization attended. This wasn't just about me anymore. This was about Hyunjae's leadership. His judgment. His future. The space was cleared. A circle marked on the concrete floor. No weapons. No rules except one. The fight ends when someone can't continue or yields. Daeyoung entered first. Massive. Confident. He looked at me like I was already dead. I entered wearing training clothes. No armor. No protection. Just me and everything Kong had taught me and all the reasons I refused to die today. Hyunjae stood at the edge of the circle. Our eyes met. I nodded once. He didn't nod back. Just looked at me like he was trying to memorize my face. The grandmother gave the signal. Daeyoung came at me immediately. No testing. No feeling out. Just overwhelming force. I dodged. Barely. Felt the air move as his fist passed where my head had been. Keep moving. King's voice in my head. Don't let him pin you. Don't let him establish rhythm. I darted in. Raked my nails across his face. Drew blood. He roared. Swung wild. I ducked under. Drove my knee into his thigh. Not the groin, not yet. Save that. He caught me with a backhand. The world exploded into stars. I hit the ground. Tasted blood. Get up. Get up. Get up. I rolled. His foot came down where my head had been. Concrete cracked. I swept his standing leg. He stumbled. Didn't fall. Too big. Too balanced. But he stumbled. The crowd was screaming. I couldn't hear words. Just noise. White noise. The sound of everything riding on the next 30 seconds. He charged again. This time I didn't dodge completely. I turned. Let him clip my shoulder. Used his momentum. Drove my elbow into his kidney. He grunted. First real sound of pain. I pressed. Targeted everything Kong taught me. Pressure points. Joint locks. Nothing worked long enough. He was too strong. Too experienced. He caught me. Lifted me. Threw me. I crashed into the concrete. Felt something crack. Rib maybe. Couldn't breathe. Couldn't think. He was coming. Slow now. Confident. This was the end. I looked past him. Found Hyunjae's eyes. Saw everything we built. Everything we'd chosen. Everything I'd fought to become. Daeyoung reached for me. I drove my thumbs into his eyes. Not a tap. Not a strike. Full force. All my weight. All my desperation. I felt things give. Heard him scream. Really scream. He staggered back. Covering his face. Blinded or close to it. I should have stopped. Should have let him yield. I didn't. I drove my foot into his knee. Sideways. Felt it buckle. He went down. I followed him. Got behind him. My arm around his throat. Cutting off blood flow. Kong had drilled this 1,000 times. He thrashed. Massive. Desperate. I held on. Locked my legs. Squeezed. Yield. I hissed in his ear. Yield or I don't stop. He clawed at my arm. Drew blood. I squeezed harder. His movement slowed. Weakened. I felt him go limp. I held on 5 more seconds. Making sure. Then released. He collapsed. Breathing. Unconscious but alive. I stood. Barely. Everything hurt. Blood in my mouth. Maybe a broken rib. Definitely a concussion. But I was standing. The warehouse was silent. I looked at the grandmother. Do I belong now? Her expression was unreadable. Then slowly she nodded. You belong. I walked to Hyunjae, fell into his arms, let him hold me while I shook. While the adrenaline drained. While I realized what I'd just done. Who I'd just become. I've got you, he whispered. I've got you. We left that warehouse different people. Both of us. The violence had changed us. Not broken us. Changed us. If you've made it this far in the story, drop a like and comment telling me what you thought of that fight scene. And stick around because the ending is going to surprise you. After the fight, things shifted. I'd earned respect through violence. It was disturbing how easily that world accepted me once I'd proven I could hurt people. But that was the currency they understood. The grandmother called me to a private meeting a week later. Just the two of us. I underestimated you, she said without preamble. I thought you were weak. Sentimental. I was wrong. I'm both those things, I said. I'm just also other things. Yes, you are. She paused. I'm not apologizing for testing you. In our world, untested loyalty is worthless. But I am acknowledging that you passed tests I didn't expect you to survive. Is this your way of giving us your blessing? This is my way of saying I won't actively try to kill you anymore. The blessing is implied. It wasn't warm, but it was real. In that world, it was enough. Life didn't become easy. It became complicated in different ways. I was part of the organization now, whether I wanted to be or not. That came with expectations, obligations, lines I had to decide whether to cross. Hyunjae and I navigated it together. He taught me the politics, the careful balance of power, how to read rooms full of dangerous people, how to leverage respect into influence. I taught him about compromise, about when to push and when to yield, about the emotional labor of relationships that he'd never had to do before. We fought sometimes. Real fights about real things, about what I was willing to do, what he was willing to ask, about where we drew lines and whether those lines were static or negotiable. But we always came back to each other, always found our way through. 6 months after the fight with Dae-young, another threat emerged. A rival family making plays for territory. They came at the organization hard, fast, with the kind of violence that demanded response. The leadership council wanted war. Full escalation. Blood for blood. Hyunjae hesitated. He understood violence, but he also understood cost. He knew what war would mean. Who would die? What would be destroyed? They saw his hesitation as weakness. I saw it as humanity. In the meeting where they pushed for war, I spoke up. What if there's another way? Every eye turned to me. Not all friendly. There's no other way, Minjun said. They attacked us. We respond or we look weak. We respond strategically, I countered. Not emotionally. We target their leadership. Surgical. Precise. We remove the threat without the collateral damage of full war. And how do you propose we do that? I looked at Hyunjae. Saw him understanding where I was going. Saw him both proud and terrified. I'll do it, I said. I'll take out their leadership. Give me 2 people I trust. We go in quiet. We end this before it starts. The room erupted in argument. I let it wash over me. Kept my eyes on the grandmother. She was the only opinion that really mattered. Finally, she raised her hand. Silence fell. You're volunteering to assassinate 3 men who have a dozen bodyguards between them, she said flatly. Yes. Why? Because a war will cost us people we can't afford to lose. Because Hyunjae is right to hesitate, even if he can't say it in this room. And because I can do things they won't expect from someone who looks like me. She studied me for a long moment. You've changed. Yes. Is that his doing or yours? Both. Neither. Does it matter? A ghost of a smile. No, I suppose it doesn't. She turned to the council. She goes. Kong goes with her. One more of her choosing. If she fails, we go to war. If she succeeds, this matter is settled. I chose a woman named Hyejin. Mid-30s, brilliant strategist, deadly with a blade. She'd never liked me before, but she respected competence. We planned for 3 days. Surveillance. Patterns. Weaknesses. The rival family's leadership met every Thursday at a private club in Gangbuk. Same time. Same security setup. Predictable. Predictability was opportunity. The night before we went in, Hyunjae and I were alone in his apartment. He was quieter than usual. Processing. Calculating probabilities I probably didn't want to know. You don't have to do this, he said finally. We've had this conversation. I know. But this is different. This isn't defense. This is murder. You can say it. Yes. Murder. And once you cross that line, you can't uncross it. I turned to face him. I know. Do you think I haven't thought about that? About what it means? About who I'll be after? Who will you be? I don't know yet. But I know who I won't be. I won't be the woman who let the man she loves get destroyed by a war that could be prevented. I won't be the woman who stood aside and let other people die when I could have done something. This isn't your fight. It became my fight the moment I chose you. All of it. The good, the complicated, and the irredeemably dark. I'm not naive anymore, Hyunjae. I know exactly what I'm choosing. He pulled me close. I wish I could protect you from this. I don't need protection. I need you to trust that I can handle it. I do trust you. That's what terrifies me. We made love that night with a desperate edge. Like we were both trying to hold on to something we could feel slipping away. Afterward, he held me and said something he'd never said before. Promise me something. What? Promise me that no matter what happens tomorrow, no matter who you have to become, you'll remember that I love all of you. Even the parts you think are unlovable. Tears stung my eyes. I promise. And promise me you'll come back. I promise I'll try. It was the best I could offer. It had to be enough. The operation went down on Thursday night. We entered through the kitchen. Hygiene had connections with the staff. A cook who owed her a favor. He let us in through the service entrance. No questions. No witness. The club was upscale. Expensive. The kind of place that catered to men who thought money made them untouchable. We moved through the back corridors. Kong led. He'd memorized the layout. Every camera. Every exit. Every variable. The rival family's leadership was in a private room on the third floor. We could hear them laughing, drinking, celebrating some victory I didn't know about and didn't care to learn. Kong positioned himself at the door. Hygiene took the window. Exit blocking. I went in first. The look on their faces when a black woman walked into their private celebration would have been funny in any other context. Who the hell? The eldest started. I shot him. Center mass. Suppressor kept it quiet. He went down. The other two scrambled. Reached for weapons. Kong came through the door. Put down the second one before he could draw. The third got his gun out. Pointed it at me. You're making a mistake, he said in Korean. His hands were shaking. The mistake was attacking my family, I replied in the same language. Kong had been teaching me. I wasn't fluent, but I knew enough. Your family? You're not even. I shot him before he could finish. Didn't need to hear the rest. The room was silent except for the ringing in my ears. 3 men dead. By my hand. By my choice. I waited for the guilt. The horror. The breakdown. It didn't come. Just cold clarity. They'd threatened people I cared about. Now they couldn't. Problem solved. That realization, that absence of remorse should have terrified me. It didn't. We need to move, Kong said quietly. We left the way we came. The cook looked away when we passed. Didn't see us. Wouldn't remember us. We were ghosts. Professional. Clean. Back at the compound, I reported to the council. Showed them confirmation. Photos. Evidence. The grandmother nodded. It's done then. The war is prevented. Yes. And how do you feel? It was a test. I knew it was a test. I feel like I did what was necessary, I said carefully. Nothing more. Nothing less. No guilt? No regret. Guilt would mean I thought there was another choice. There wasn't. She smiled. Actually smiled. Now you truly belong. Welcome to the family, Elsa. I should have felt triumph. Validation. Instead I felt empty. I found Hyunjae in his office. He looked up when I entered. Searched my face. It's done, I said. I know. Are you okay? I don't know what okay means anymore. He came around the desk. Pulled me into his arms. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry I brought you into this world. You didn't bring me. I walked in with open eyes. But I let you. I should have tried harder to. To what? Protect me from my own choices? We're past that, Hyunjae. We've been past that for a long time. He held me tighter. I love you. I know. I love you too. That's why we're here. That's why I did what I did. Does that make it better or worse? I don't know. Maybe both. We stood like that for a long time. Two people who'd crossed lines they couldn't uncross. Who'd become versions of themselves they'd never intended to be. But we'd done it together. And somehow that mattered. Comment below and tell me if you think love can survive what they went through. Because the ending is going to make you question everything. Life settled into a new rhythm after that. I wasn't just Hyunjae's partner anymore. I was a made member of the organization. I had responsibilities, territory, people who reported to me. It was surreal. A black woman from Atlanta running operations for a Korean crime family. But I'd proven myself in their language. Violence. Loyalty. Results. The grandmother started consulting me on decisions. Not because she'd grown to love me, but because she respected competence above all else. And I demonstrated that repeatedly. Hyunjae and I moved through that world together. He handled the strategic planning, the long-term positioning. I handled the immediate threats, the tactical responses. We complemented each other in ways that made the organization stronger. But it cost us. Late nights I'd find him staring out windows, lost in thoughts he couldn't articulate. What are you thinking? I'd ask. That I've destroyed you, he'd say. That the woman I met in that coffee shop wouldn't recognize who you've become. She'd recognize me. She just wouldn't understand yet. Does that make it better? It makes it true. We had those conversations a lot. About change. About cost. About whether love was worth the price we were paying. We never found easy answers. 6 months later, the grandmother's health started failing. Cancer. Aggressive. She had weeks, maybe months. She called us both to her bedside. Private. Just the three of us. I'm dying, she said without preamble. We all know it. So let's talk about what happens next. The succession is clear, Hyunjae said. I remain. The succession is a disaster, she interrupted. You're brilliant, Hyunjae. Strategic. But you lack something essential for this role. What? You lack the capacity for necessary cruelty. You'll hesitate at critical moments. You'll prioritize truth over expedience. In normal times that might work. But we're entering unstable territory. The organization needs someone who won't flinch. My stomach dropped. I knew where this was going. You want Elsa to lead, Hyunjae said slowly. I want you both to lead. Jointly. You provide the strategy and the vision. She provides the spine and the blade. Together, you might actually succeed where anyone alone would fail. That's not how this works, I said. The family won't accept. The family will accept what I tell them to accept. And what I'm telling them is that you two are the future. Take it or watch everything collapse in the power struggle that will follow my death. It wasn't a request. It was a command. Final. Absolute. After she dismissed us, Hyunjae and I walked the grounds in silence. This is what you wanted, I said finally. Power. Security. The ability to protect what matters. This is what I feared, he corrected. You fully enmeshed. No way out. No escape route. I don't want an escape route. You should. But I don't. I stopped walking, turned to face him. I need you to hear me. Really hear me. I'm not the woman you're trying to save. I'm not trapped. I'm not being forced. I'm choosing this. Every day. Every decision. I'm choosing you in this life and everything it means. Even when it means becoming someone you never wanted to be. I don't know who I wanted to be. I spent so long being what other people needed that I never figured out what I actually was. Maybe this is it. Maybe I was always someone capable of this kind of darkness. Maybe you just gave me permission to find out. He searched my face. And that doesn't terrify you? It terrifies me constantly. But it also feels real. True. Like I've finally stopped pretending. He kissed me then. Deep and desperate. I don't know if that makes this a love story or a tragedy. Maybe it's both. The grandmother died 3 weeks later. The funeral was enormous. Every important family in Seoul sent representatives. The organization's power was on full display. At the wake, Hyunjae and I were announced as joint successors. There was murmuring, resistance, but it was muted. Her word was law even in death. We inherited an empire built on violence and maintained through fear. We inherited enemies who would test us, allies who would betray us given the chance, and a future that was anything but certain. That night, in the quiet of our bedroom, away from the politics and the plotting, we held each other. Do you ever wonder what would have happened if you'd never sat down at my table that day? I asked. Every day. Do you regret it? He was quiet for a long time. No. I regret what it cost you, what it turned you into. But I don't regret loving you. I don't regret knowing you, even if it damns us both. We were already damned. At least now we're damned together. He laughed. Actually laughed. That's the most romantic thing you've ever said. I'm trying. I know. That's what I love about you. We made love that night not with desperation or claiming, just with quiet certainty. This was our life. These were our choices. And we'd face whatever came next together. Before I wrap this up, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and drop a comment telling me what you think happened to us. Because the ending isn't what you're expecting. A year passed. Then 2. We ran the organization with calculated precision. Hyunjae's strategic mind combined with my tactical instincts made us formidable. We consolidated power, eliminated threats, built alliances. We also became more isolated. The violence, the constant threat, the weight of all those choices, it bound us together, but it also separated us from any other kind of life. We talked about leaving sometimes, late at night when we were alone, running away, starting over somewhere no one knew us. We never did, because leaving would mean admitting that the people we'd become weren't who we wanted to be, and we weren't ready for that honesty yet. Then everything changed. A raid, federal, coordinated. Someone had informed. Given them everything. Locations, names, evidence. We barely escaped. Kong got us out through a route he'd prepared for exactly this scenario. But we lost everything. The compound, the businesses, the infrastructure. The empire we'd inherited and built crashed in a single night. We fled to a safe house in Jeju. Just the two of us. Kong disappeared to handle what could be salvaged. In that small house by the sea, with everything stripped away, we finally had to face each other without the armor of power and position. I'm sorry, Hyunjae said. We were sitting on the beach, watching the sunset. Refugees in our own country. For what? For bringing you into this. For letting you become this. For. Stop, I interrupted. I'm going to say this once and I need you to believe me. You didn't make me into anything. I made my own choices. Every single one. And I'd make them again. Even knowing how it ended. I thought about it. Really thought. About the woman I'd been in that coffee shop. Broken. Running. Trying to disappear. About the woman I was now. Dangerous. Competent. Unafraid. Especially knowing how it ended, I said. Because that woman in the coffee shop was dying slowly. She'd lost herself trying to be what someone else wanted. At least now I know who I am. Even if who I am is dark and complicated and not what anyone would choose. Who are you? He asked quietly. I'm someone who fought a 280-pound killer to save the man she loves. I'm someone who killed to protect her family. I'm someone who chose truth over safety every single time. I'm not good. I'm probably not even redeemable. But I'm real. And I'm yours. If you still want me. He turned to look at me. Eyes full of everything we'd been through. Everything we'd lost. Everything we'd become. I'll always want you, he said. That's the problem and the answer and the truth. We stayed in Jeju for 3 months while Kong worked to rebuild something from the ashes. We weren't going back to what we were. That world was done. But we could build something new. Smaller. More careful. Or we could walk away entirely. We chose to walk away. Not because we'd found redemption. Not because we'd been forgiven. But because we'd finally learned that survival didn't require empire. Just each other. We moved to a small city in Japan. Started over with new names. New histories. Kong set it up. Made us ghosts. We weren't innocent. We'd never be innocent again. But we were free. Or as free as people like us could ever be. The last time I saw Kong, he asked me if I regretted any of it. Which part? I asked. All of it. Hyunjae. The organization. Who you had to become. I thought about the girl in the coffee shop. About Marcus. About everything I'd survived and everything I'd chosen and everything I destroyed to get here. No, I said. I don't regret it. I regret what it cost other people. I regret the violence. I regret the damage. But I don't regret becoming someone strong enough to choose herself. Even if that meant becoming someone I never intended to be. He nodded. Understood. Take care of him. I will. And let him take care of you. I'll try. Now it's 5 years later. We live quietly. Hyunjae does consulting work. Legitimate. Legal. He's brilliant at it. I teach self-defense. Help women learn to protect themselves. It's ironic maybe. Or fitting. I can't tell which. We're not happy in the simple way people talk about happiness. But we're real. We're honest. We know exactly who we are and what we're capable of. Some nights I dream about the people I killed. Wonder about their families. Their lives. The weight of that never goes away. But I also know that I'd do it again. To protect Hyunjae. To protect myself. To survive. That knowledge doesn't make me a good person. But it makes me a true one. We got married last year. Quiet ceremony. Just us and Kong. No family. No witnesses who mattered. Hyunjae asked me during the ceremony if I had any regrets. Just one, I said. What? That I didn't order a bigger coffee that first day. We might have had more time to talk before everything got complicated. He laughed. That rare genuine sound. We had enough time. Did we? We had the time we needed to become who we are. That's all anyone gets. He was right. This isn't a redemption story. We didn't find salvation. We didn't become better people. We became truer people. More complicated. More whole. More aware of our capacity for darkness and our need for light. Love didn't save us. Changed us. It stripped away the pretense and the performance and showed us exactly who we were when everything else was gone. And we chose each other anyway. Not because we were good for each other, but because we were real with each other. That's the story. That's the truth. A black woman from Atlanta and an autistic Korean crime boss who fell in love in a coffee shop and destroyed everything to stay together. We don't deserve happy endings. We don't get to be heroes. But we get to be us. Fully. Honestly. Without apology. And some days that's enough. If this story moved you, touched you, made you feel something, do me one last favor. Hit that subscribe button. Drop a comment with your thoughts. And share this with someone who needs to hear that truth is more important than redemption. Because we all deserve to be seen. Even the dark parts. Especially the dark parts. That's where the real love lives. In the spaces between who we thought we'd be and who we actually are. Thank you for listening. Thank you for staying. Thank you for witnessing this story without judgment. We're still here. Still choosing each other. Still becoming. And that's the only ending that matters.